This living room was outdated, dirty, and boring, but I saw its potential and transformed it into this beautiful space, full of cozy charm with the help of this video's sponsor, Article Furniture. My name is Melissa Woods from Welcome to the Woods. When I first came into this space, I knew I wanted to accentuate the vaulted ceilings, and the whole room needed a focal point. This is the first space you see when you enter the front door, so I wanted it to be stunning. It flows into the kitchen, which was once outdated, but if you see my other videos, you know that I fixed it up. So the first thing in this living room was to remove the crusty, dusty carpet. Taking the carpet off the stairs was especially difficult. I patched and painted the stair risers right away to make them look a bit better before moving on to painting. The best paint jobs require a lot of prep work, so I removed and labeled the baseboards so it would be easier to reinstall them later. Then I scraped that popcorn texture off the ceilings. I have a video how to do this if you're interested, and yes, I tested for asbestos beforehand. The walls had a lot of nail pops to hammer in and patch, so I did all that, and then I washed everything. It was so dirty from years of neglect. Look at how gross my water was after just one wall. When the walls were clean, I primed over my patched areas to prevent flashing. Before starting up my paint sprayer, I blocked vents, and I taped off light switches, as well as put plastic over anything I didn't want to get paint dust on. I covered the stair railing and taped that into place as well. I'm using my Graco Magnum X7 airless sprayer to apply paint, and because I use the Behr Marquee line, I only need to do one coat. The paint color is French beige. I didn't worry about spraying up onto the ceiling because when the wall color was dry for 24 hours, I taped a new straight line to paint the ceiling. At first, I planned to roll the ceiling because I was nervous about spraying over my head, but after 10 feet, it felt like my arms were gonna fall off, so I did hook up my sprayer. The tape and plastic in one product disappointed me as it wouldn't stay against my pressurized spray, so I swapped to frog tape and regular painter's plastic pretty quickly. It wasn't as scary spraying a ceiling as I thought it would be, and it went by so fast. The ceiling is quite large and 15 feet tall at its peak, so I'm grateful I had the right tools to do this myself. My extravagant plans for the ceiling required me to add height to the bulkhead that went over the hallway and stairs. It wasn't low enough to match up with the depth of the beams that I wanted to build, so I added lumber screwed into the studs and mesh tape over the seams. After coating the whole addition in several layers of joint compound, priming, and painting, you would never know that it was modified. Now I could move on to building the beams. I used 16-foot-long pieces of grade 2 pine, that's a 1x8 size, and cut beveled edges lengthwise on my table saw. Because I'm installing them on a vaulted ceiling, each end also got a 15-degree angled miter, except the bottom of the beam, which is cut straight. I assembled them using packaging tape and wood glue, and there's an in-depth video about how I built these you can click on in the cards. Although my long beveled edges turned out perfectly, I wanted a distressed look, so I came in with some power tools to beat these puppies up. I especially love the effect the jigsaw had, making these beams look like old-world pieces of art. The stain I used was a custom mix of chestnut and American walnut and brought to life all those distressing details. To install the beams on the ceiling, I planned out my wood supports with a laser level and put blocks in the ceiling as well as the wall that I could screw the beams into. I called in help from my neighbor and husband for this part. The install went smoothly, and these beams totally transformed the room. Next up, it was finally time to clean and prep the subfloor for new flooring. When I laid this flooring throughout the kitchen, I left my pattern open to weave the living room flooring continuously throughout. But I made a mistake creating a peninsula of sorts where the plank that I needed to add had to fit into the existing click-together grooves on 3 sides. This piece was incredibly difficult to get in, and it took 45 minutes alone. But once I finally got it, the rest was easy. This flooring is the Mohawk Revwood Select waterproof laminate in the color Fawn Chestnut. After the flooring was in, I removed the railing and gave it a fresh coat of paint. I had to cut off the existing treads' bull nose and edge to make space for the coordinating laminate treads to be installed. Finally, I could reinstall the baseboards, which I had sanded, restained, and resealed while they were off. That was a lot of work. To build the fireplace focal point for my living room, I started framing up walls that would hold prefab cabinets in them. I measured out my faux rock panels as the determining dimensions for how I wanted the slanted walls to look. This left me with a 32-degree angle to cut and install my slanted walls and create this custom fireplace surround. This was probably the most complicated thing I've ever built, and I can't wait to go into more detail about how I did it in my next video. Be sure to subscribe to Welcome to the Woods and click the notification bell so you don't miss it. The faux rock panels were my favorite part and brought so much texture and style to the space. They're manufactured by Baron Designs. At this time, I'd love to invite you to support me as a creator on Patreon. My Patreon page is new, and I plan to publish behind-the-scenes videos on there starting more frequently in 2023. For my superfans on Patreon, I'll even be sending out personalized video messages and have a monthly video call with other superfans. Shout out to John, who's my first and long-standing patron. Click on the link in the description to check it out. As for this fireplace, I chose a stove-style electric fireplace, so I didn't need to add venting, but I included details like firewood, pokers, and a piece of pipe to make it look more realistic and charming. The last thing to fix up before furniture could be installed was the front door. I picked up this insulated metal front door on clearance because it had a few dents. To fix these, I used this steel stick product. When the putty was dry, I sanded it flush, primed, and then painted it. After this process was done, you would never know that there was once a blemish there. Now let me bring you back to how terrible this room looked when we bought the house. I can't believe it's the same space as this. This large living room comes to life with the fireplace and beams, and Article's gorgeous furniture levels it up even more. I chose the Hamber Oxford black sofa and timpani charmed ottoman that have tufting that speak to the vintage chairs that I have flanking the fireplace. The two Barlow side tables are heavy duty and solid oak. They match the large hutch that was actually left in the house by the previous owners. My living room design is all grounded by Article's Nebilo rug, which brings comfort and dimension to the space. I had so much fun designing this room to flow with how the kitchen looks now. I think the two rooms look very intentional next to each other. The style I was going for was modern cottage. Do you think I nailed it? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you were delighted by this living room transformation. If you'd like to see any of these projects broken out in more detail, please explore the other videos on my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok for fun short format videos. The links are in the description. We'll catch you again next time on Welcome to the Woods.